Hi, everyone. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the following podcast belong solely to the host and its contributors. They are not necessarily the views of our employers, organizations, committees, or other group or individual.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Brewing with Bim. I'm Joe Whitney, and with me is Dave Campbell. What's up, Dave?
Oh, not much, Joe. Another beautiful night. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Well, probably not as well as you. You sent me some pictures. You just got back from the distillery. What you get?
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm so excited about this. So I did a flight of whiskey today. We went up to Twin Maple Orchards in Three Rivers, Michigan, and went there, picked some cherries. Went over to Dreyer's Butcher Shop, which is awesome place. And right down the road from there is the Journeyman Distillery. So I picked up a bottle of the Last Feather Rye, dude. I tell you what, I did one of my first whiskey flights, and then I sat there and just kind of, you read the description of it and you're looking over them, you smell it a little bit, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you kind of, taste it, let it sit on your palate, and of course observe it, like reading the card, like, there's the banana. I got to try what was it, 4 different whiskeys, actually five different whiskeys. And out of all 5 of them, this one was my favorite by far. Not by far. I'd say, what was it? It was Corsets, Whips, and Whiskey. Corsets, Whips, and Whiskey. I think that's what it was.
Dude, Sex and Candy. What was that you drank last time?
Sex and Candy. Sex and Candy.
You're all about
that. Good. All about it. But man, that one, it's funny, the taste. It was like toffee, caramel, vanilla, and then all heat. Just all heat right after that. It burned in the mouth and all the way down. It was like, woo.
Oh man, that sounds good, dude. I've had some bottles like that. I've probably let you try my favorite before. Have you had Whistle Pig yet?
Oh yeah. Whistle Pig was eaten through the cup, man. Whistle Pig was eaten through the cup. I had to drink that stuff so fast.
So
and then
good,
you and Paul laughed at me because I took it, and I was like, oh, okay. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it's starting to go. So I just took it. Like, whoo, that's good stuff, though.
It is great, man. The rye, it's my favorite. Well, next time, well, not next time. When you get back to Portland, make sure you head over to Multnomah Whiskey Library.
Oh,
It's essentially looks like a library full of whiskey. It's on every wall, man. It's awesome.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah. I went to one at, what was it, in Portland? Was it Kennedy School?
Oh, yeah, Kennedy School. It's called the little cigar room. Is that what you're talking about? Or?
Yeah, they got a whiskey bar in there. They got like Japanese whiskey and a bunch of different other types. Yeah, really good. Oh, actually, this week
Centauri and stuff. Yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. This week I talked about it last week, so I'm going to be double fisting. But I got a Leine's Summer Shandy, man, because it was so hot here in Indiana. The humidity is real.
Oh, I'm feeling it, man. I was debating on doing this outside on my deck, and I was like instantly, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Let's come back down to the air-conditioned basement and do this in here. The shandies are good, though, man. I'm a big fan.
Oh, yeah. It's one of day drinking's finest. But what are you sipping on?
Well, real quick, man, what are you drinking first? Isn't there a beer before liquor, never sicker, liquor before beer, you're in the clear?
Yep.
Gotta pace it out right or something. Or at least drink some water in between, man.
Right, there you go.
So I've got an assortment. I went to the grocery store earlier, and I got the New Belgium mix pack. There's 2 in here that I haven't had before, so I wanted to give them a try. I probably drank this before on the podcast. I'm not sure. We got to get a running tally of what we've had. This is the Citradelic Tangerine IPA. I'm a big fan of this one.
Okay.
Tangerines, it comes through more of the bitter than the sweet, which I prefer when I get the fruits. This is a juicy hazy IPA. Jumping on that hazy IPA train.
Yeah.
This one I haven't had before. It's the Mothership Wheat or Wit. It's wheat, but I haven't had this one before. And then this one is another one I haven't had before. The Sparkling Lime Lager. It's like a I don't know. It kind of reminds me of White Claw or something, It's on that line.
Hey, a lot of people give me flack for it, but I tell you what, when you're floating down a river and the sun's beating on you and you're floating down for like 4 hours, those White Claws are amazing.
Oh yeah, man. We head up Rochester at least once a month, hang out with the family up there. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law, they have a fridge stocked full of beer. They're awesome. I love them for this. But they drink a lot of White Claw more than anything. So every now and then I find myself reaching for them. They're not bad. I enjoy them. They're light. They're refreshing. When you want to break from something a little heavy like an IPA or something, it's a good way to go.
Yeah, it's a good way to keep drinking, right?
Yeah. Oh man, one other thing while we're talking about alcohol that I wanted to chat with about. Buddy of mine, Rob Sinclair, he did the Dynamo presentation with us. I'd heard of, I'm going to butcher the name. I think it's Taver. It's like flavor, but with a T instead of an FL, Taver. You can order beer, like, high dollar beers, like really nice beers. They're expensive. It's like, $10 a beer.
Yeah.
But they're like premium beers. I initially wrote them off because when I looked at their website, it had or on their app when you have to sign up, it has 4 beers on it. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to spend this much money on 4 beers plus still spend $15 on shipping. Yeah. He gave me a complete rundown on everything. They've got a pretty cool thing going. You get beers of the month type thing, and they'll ship you this whole thing. Yeah, it adds up. It ends up, like I said, being $10 a beer. But we're not talking beers like this. We're talking, nice guys. Bottles of sours and all kinds of cool stuff. So definitely worth looking into. I think one of them he said was a $50 bottle or something like that. But that's pretty awesome.
Wait, so is it a beer subscription?
Yeah, it's a beer subscription.
It's a beer subscription. Yeah, yes.
Pretty awesome.
All right.
For craft beer, man.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm going to have to check that out. Taver or Taver?
It's Taver. Flavor, so spelled the same way, Flavor, so flavor, the English way, but with a T at the end, or T at the beginning instead of an FL.
Okay.
Tavoir.
Yeah. Okay.
But pretty cool, man. So shout out to Rob for getting me that info. I know he's getting a supply in soon, so maybe I'll trade him once I get my beer going for some of his.
Yeah, man.
I recorded a bunch of videos. I'm probably going to put them up this weekend. Got my whole setup ready. I'm done. Everything's ready. Yeah. The only thing I have left to do is put together a keg, but the kegs are here.
Yeah, man.
Everything's here. I just got to connect all the nozzles and, clean them out, pressurize it, all that stuff.
Yep.
But so originally I went with the 5-gallon corny keg I was saying about, big boy, skinny one. But I was thinking about it, I was like, man, damn it, I want to be able to switch them out. So I've got this refrigerator upstairs and moving downstairs. Got 2 taps. I'm going to, make a kegerator out of it.
Yeah, dude, there you go.
And I opted for some 2.5 or 2.6 gallon, the 10 liters kegs. So I got 2 of those. So that way I can just switch them out every 2 weeks, brew a new beer, and call it good, man.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Looking forward to it, man. It'll be fun times. And I'm going to be brewing this weekend. I'm going to record it. It'll be on our website.
Heck yeah. I thought about something today while I was in the distillery. I took a few pictures. I definitely want to post those up on our forum as well. Just pictures of the Journeyman Distillery that I got. But it's actually pretty cool. I thought about, man, we could actually do a write-up of where we go, the places that we go if we do travel. Maybe not so much during COVID times, right? But if when we do travel, if we can stop by a good distillery or a brewery or something, maybe we do a nice write-up about it and take some pictures and put it on there.
Well, I don't know about you, man, but I've got 2 face-to-faces next week, which is weird. It's my first face-to-faces in a long time. Mm-hmm. And I just got requests from people that I'd start traveling again in October. So I don't know, man. We'll see what's going on.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
If the world is not on fire then, maybe I'll start traveling again. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
Get some regional beers again. Although I'm having fun exploring my area. I got a complete list. Again, Rob from CEC gave me a total rundown of all the beers in places that I have been missing that I didn't even know existed in my neighborhood. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Always fun to find new places to go.
Oh yeah, man. I'm down. Dude, I just can't do the 2 ears on. It feels like I'm in It'll be funny looking with this. I know my
Yeah.
work, I've got these, for work, I've got these Planetronic ones that I use every now and then because it's just a single ear. Love those, but and these are nice and comfortable. The audio's great, but I can't do it, man.
Disconnects you. It does. It does. I think about it when I use my AirPods. I actually only use the right one most of the time. It's only when I'm in a serious conversation that I need to put both of them in because I want to disconnect from the rest of the world.
When you're yelling at people for doing stuff wrong, damn it! Laying down the hammer. I know how you do, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What are you doing? We do not WWE in the living room. Oh, dude. Funny story. Right. Funny story. A little bit ago, as I was coming downstairs, I grabbed my beers, and I go to walk out into the living room, and we're at my mom's house, and Gabe's on the couch watching TV with Michael, and they had the volume a little low, so we couldn't hear it in the kitchen where we were, where I got the beer. And as Adrian and I go walking towards the living room, we look at the TV, and dude is watching Bob's Burgers. I'm like, oh no. And of course, Adrian, my wife, starts freaking out like, what are you doing? Why are you watching that? Gabe's over there like, oh no, I'm in trouble. Trying to change the channel. I couldn't help but just kind of laugh a little bit. I'm like, it is a good show though.
It is a little inappropriate for kids.
It's very inappropriate, but it is a good show.
Yeah. You know what show I'm hooked on now, man? Have you watched Kingdom on Netflix with Frank Grillo and it's got one of the Jonas brothers in it, dude? Dude, it's all about like, fighting UFC stuff. Frank Grillo's a badass. It's awesome.
Yeah?
It's a good show, man. Okay. Check it out.
Kingdom. Okay.
Kingdom. Yeah, I was looking at it because, it said Kingdom, and I'm all about like the medieval Uhtred Ragnarsson, Viking type stuff. I was like, I'll check this out.
Yeah.
It was UFC fighting, and I was like, heck yeah, this is awesome, man. This is cool. Definitely not kid friendly. So much nudity, so much, not kid friendly.
Usually in those movies.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's a TV show. It's awesome.
Oh, TV show. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay. Well, shit, man. We're 12 minutes in now. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about what's going on.
Not yet. Nope. Tangent's full.
Have you heard about this thing that's going on? It's called COVID.
Oh.
If you haven't heard of it, it's not important. Anyways, today we're I'm just messing with me. Today, guys, we're going to be chatting about a few different things near and dear to our heart. So, David, you had developed this presentation for XCON. XCON got canceled, obviously.
Yep.
And it was really kind of a cool conversation to have. Site logistics in BIM 360. Or BIM 360. Bluebeam. The other B, man, right?
The other B. Yes, sir. Yeah. It was an interesting thought process, being able to take a site plan or get the site logistics of the construction site, obviously, and kind of track it using a PDF. It's still, I want to say, a little disconnected because it is a PDF, right? But at the same time, if you're getting them daily, or let's say weekly, bi-weekly, at least it keeps you kind of there. It keeps you updated, right?
Yeah.
And the thought process I had for the presentation was, let's take these markups that we use and let's take it, like I said, a step further and use it for site planning. Like, why can't we scale out these different measurements or these different tools and say, this is a crane, and I know where this crane's going to go, or I know where I need 2x4s or metal studs or anchor bolts, or let's say,
actually material deliveries. And
yeah, dude, well, you can get really deep with it in terms of recognizing symbols inside of your models and tracking those in terms of, like, let's say valves or pipes, different types of anything that can arrive on the site, or tracking the actual, not just installation of it, but the delivery of it, right? Using statuses. So if I set a status as to, in transit, or let's say I connect them through a studio session to the manufacturer, and we have the documents, we have everything, they let us know, hey, these materials have gone out. We can actually track that in a centralized document. And at that point, anyone that has access to that document can see that status change, and they know they can actually put a color to it if they wanted to reflect a visual change with it. a lot of different things, even with just taking in the paperwork of it and having everything together in one centralized area. So again, everybody has access to that document or to seeing that it's leaving and when it arrives on site, where it goes. It's a awesome process.
Yeah. I think it feeds into a lot of bigger overall processes as we talk about master schedules and pull planning to go along with the site logistics, right? Who's going to be on site here at what are they going to be doing? What do they need? What dependencies do they have in order to get their job done? And if they, are delayed, what else gets delayed? How does it affect schedules? Like all that stuff kind of goes hand in hand, and they do become disconnected. But I was sitting there thinking about this earlier. I was like, well, there's got to be something you can do, especially as we talk about markups and the columns and kicking out to
Excel.
Yeah, like figuring stuff out that way. Because a lot of times we're doing this stuff in Excel, Smartsheets, Project.
Yep.
More often than that, it starts in Primavera P6, but kind of lives and dies there, right? We might actually kick it down, but we'll do our pull planning, our micro scheduling, all that sort of stuff at a more local scale, if you will. It's not
a little granular level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But how do you communicate that with everybody? Internally we do
standardize. That's what we got to do.
Hell yeah, you got to standardize, man. But like think about it though. You've got subcontractors. If you're the GC, you have subcontractors that you update daily on things that are changing in the project. They have to know what's going on so that they can, schedule and plan accordingly. This all feeds back to other things, advanced work packages and coordination, procurement, everything. It feeds all in.
All of it. It does.
But you can visualize this with a PDF, and so you can have standardized markups to do all this stuff for each thing, rather than having stickies on a board. And then you can also have your DWGs or PDFs at that point, but your sheets, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So you could have this kind of overlaying on your sheets to let people know where they're going to be or what they're doing, and have all this information. You can plus this out in so many different ways. It'd be awesome.
Heck yeah, man. Honestly, there's so many different ways that you can do it. You can include all of the information there, even locally into a PDF, tying it together either through hyperlinks or file attachments, putting the spec sheets in there, putting any details that they might need to access, any, let's say, a specific engineering package that they want to reference or discipline specific package they want to reference. Dude, all of that data can be stored either internally with a project or locally with a PDF, right? Yeah. And I mean, just being able to host that data again and make it available to anyone else.
Yeah, that's the dream, man. So the hyperlinks are freaking golden, dude. That makes life so much easier. If you're going to do a session though,
only 2D and 3D PDFs.
I know, but listen to this. Wouldn't it be cool to do a session, kind of make your sticky notes, if you will, for the trades, and have tasks and all that stuff, but have them hosted in a session so that you can just live update them and people will know what's going on. You can notify them, hey, look, actually, Tom's Electric's going to delay this part, so drywall can't come in for 2 days later. Automatically update, get notifications, and then you take it one step further and you actually move the Joe's drywall out. Oh, Joe's drywall actually, it doesn't actually delay the next step, but it all feeds in, so we'll just push that out. Works out great. And then it's a live session though. Joe says, look, man, my guys can't be on site that day. Actually, they'll be in Tuesday morning, so give us an extra 12 hours. We'll be there, get it done. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, it's not going to take this long. It's actually going to take half as much. We got this. And then it's all updated. It's in the cloud. It's in a session. Everybody's collaborating off once. What's your thought on doing something like that?
Oh, definitely doable, I would think. I mean, I would be using some types of forms, most likely as PDF documents. And
you need to have the record, if you will.
Yes. Well, even the record, you're going to have it with the session in general because there's a chat bar, right? There's a chat bar, there's statuses, things like that. A bunch of people can set many different things. Even as updates, if you get the contractor involved in the specific session, if they place a markup saying we're running late, or they set a status saying we're running late, you can track it just in Bluebeam. But if you take it a little bit further into the document, you can take it through forms and things like that update different columns or might track different information from those text boxes or choices that they make.
Awesome, man. That's good info. I like it.
Yeah, dude. I was thinking about it actually while we were talking about that. Hyperlinking, updating. So if we can have somebody in the office, if maybe the field personnel are disconnected at that point, you have somebody at the office as a central point, right? Updating this information for different projects. What I would do is I would house all the information locally in a project first. So that way you can host all your contract documents, all your specs, have a centralized area to post DWGs, RVTs, text files, what have you, right? And then push those out into sessions for the field personnel. And then you can host the documentation that might need to go into that session. It's already connected, right, to a session. With those specific personnel, you can push new data, new forms, anything like that out there, and then actually pull that data back into the project. And then everyone there can see it as well. But I think being able to track it in real time, you just have someone that, of course, makes that communication. If you have a session document, the office personnel can get into that session document, excuse me, beer's kicking in, update it, and then really just anybody, like you said, in the field would be able to visualize it, like see it. Now, that's also assuming that they do have a wireless connection. If they don't have a wireless connection, they could take the documents offline, go to the field, fill them out, do what they need, and then when they get back to wherever they have wireless, they can kick it back up.
Well, that's an issue, though, with everything. So if we look at like Last Planner, My Planner, BIM 360 Plan, whatever, you're only as good. You only have as up-to-date information as you have available connection, right? So
yeah, you know what I want to say to that, though?
What's that?
Most of these companies, if that's one of your biggest barriers, let's look into getting cell phones with some hotspots, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, I can run my computer from anywhere and with a hotspot.
Except for your mom's house.
Yeah, my mom's house in the basement. I feel like Will Ferrell down here. Ma, meatloaf.
Oh man. Wedding Crashers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a second.
Yes. I love that movie.
That's a good movie. Yeah, man. I hear you. And a lot of these companies, it depends on where the project is, right? If we're talking middle of nowhere data center that is secluded from everything.
Yeah, probably not going to get any signal. None, zero.
Yeah, well, not till they build the data center, and then you can get on their Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah, right.
Just kidding. It's too secure. Anyways, the work package stuff kind of feeds into this too, because we were talking about like iConstruct and what they're doing. We got some good friends over there, Rob Gadbaugh's team. They do amazing stuff on the development side. They got the integration of Revitsa. They're doing some stuff now with BIM 360. Cool things coming with iConstruct. But anyways, I wanted to chat about this also because it kind of feeds into that conversation as we're talking about coordinating everybody on site. We're talking about site logistics. We're talking about streamlining complex projects. Kind of goes together hand in hand, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. All of it goes together. I mean, the sooner that we get involved in that process and get a streamlined process in terms of when we go handoff in between the different phases, I think it would be awesome. We're so much simpler and a smoother experience and a better experience for everyone involved.
Yeah, I feel like this AWP bandwagon though it's I don't know if you've ever had to deal with like the lean construction, the project management. It's like so rigid and formal. Like you have to do it this way to be this, and then this is what come next, and then you have this champion, and this champion has to get these. Like it's like a methodology. Like it's so like detailed, and I mean it is for a reason, right? We're talking $100 million projects, $1 billion projects, whatever. They're complex as hell. We're talking serious money, so let's figure it out. But that said, like having the right tools that are not only able to streamline stuff to a certain way, but also do it in such a way that makes life easy to where you're not like having to be the rigid guy and doing all. I don't know, man. Makes life easier. So I just wanted to. We're not going to go too much into the iConstruct side of things because I want to have Rob on another podcast, hopefully next week.
Heck yeah.
But I know you've got access to iConstruct, and you just got to get it going, man.
I know, dude. I know. I got that new computer. I need to download it and start playing with it, seeing what it does.
Well, the fact that you can create IFCs out of Navisworks.
Oh, that's pretty
models.
Impressive. Yeah.
That's the game changer, right?
You know, another one I've been really wanting to play with. I mean, I had some time in it, but it's been a few months, and that was Assemble. I've heard they've been making some good changes in there. I mean, Assemble, when I was playing with it, was pretty cool, but I've been hearing they've been making some nice changes to it.
Well, I'm very happy with Assemble right now because I think we can sell it now.
Ooh, buddy.
Hold on, I'm checking something real quick to make sure I didn't lie. I do that sometimes, you know.
Don't quote us on statistics, folks.
Don't quote me on anything.
Oh, man. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says that one of these days. Don't quote me on statistics. I'm going to have the Brewing with Bim logo on it. There you go. First
Boom,
t-shirt.
first shirt. Done.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, those things go down so good.
Okay, I didn't lie. I'm good. Just want to make sure. I do that sometimes, right? The merchandise stuff, though, is something we need to get going. I told you how many listeners we have, and we don't do sponsorships outside of whatever Anchor throws on our thing. We don't make any money on that. We don't have any merchandise just yet, but we've got an amazing following, so thank you guys for tuning in. But there's another podcast that's kind of similar to ours that does do sponsors, and I've been approached by sponsors. I just I always thought, hey, man, I wanted to keep this agnostic. You know, you and I already got our own bias to what we're familiar with. We let people come on and talk about all kinds of different things. That's fine. But we stay in our wheelhouse. You know, we try not to venture out too far. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Might be something worth considering in the future. You know, if you guys.
I think I'm down. But you know what? Why don't they let us know?
What's their time? Yeah, you guys give us a shout out and let us know if we should do sponsors or whatnot, man. It is what it is.
Yeah. Let us know.
I think our only expense at this point is what? A website hosting. That's it. Not a big deal. Yeah, some headsets. We did buy various microphones, and then we realized that these sounded way better.
Yep. The microphones are really hard. Like, I wanted to be cool like everybody I see on YouTube and stuff, and they have those old school, you know, like
sit right here.
Yeah, dude. There's like has a screen over the front of it, so you don't spit on it.
I'm an ADD person. I want to move around, adjust myself, and can't do that.
Yeah.
So, but that said, man, I think my next headset's only going to have one ear on it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think my next ones would be a little bit smaller. I'm pretty cool with these. They're comfortable, right?
Yeah. Well, your AirPods actually have a really nice sound too.
Yeah, I like the AirPods. This was an amazing buy, honestly. Costco buy, so I've got them on sale. Yes.
Costco, you owe us. We just gave you a sponsor. And Apple, I know you guys need the money. Just sponsored you guys. Yes.
Give us some AirPods or some alcohol.
Hey man, can't argue with Kirkland's alcohol selection, dude.
No, I cannot.
Kirkland brand liquor.
Oh yeah, dude, they're
Costco.
pre-made margaritas. Oh, I'm on it.
Cool, man. So going back to the Bluebeam site logistics, though, what was your whole big thing? I mean, you were going to be up on stage for what, an hour? You know.
Yeah. So really, what I was planning on doing is really just walking through the process of it. Like, I wanted to have a conversation. Like, it was going to be a discussion at some point to say, okay, what are our pain points of site logistics? What are you seeing? Like, of course, we know like packages, I want to say, not arriving on time, or different things arriving and already being in a not marked, so it's in an incorrect position. Yeah. And then people are going different places and they're wasting time, right? And it's hard to track what's where in a construction project, and then even harder to track what's installed and what's not. You know, we have people that walk through at the end of the day, most of the time, or every other day, what have you, to kind of do punch listing, right? Or checklists and say, okay, this has been done. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Okay, this is done. This is done. This is done. But a lot of times that we have human error, but I mean, there are some really awesome people out there that do amazing work, of course. But nobody catches everything, I want to say, for one. And for two, that's also a somewhat disconnected process, right? Because in what way are they doing it? If they're doing it in Bluebeam, if we're doing it in a studio session, you're going to keep everybody involved in that process so they know what's been installed, they know what's where, they can track everything. If you're doing it on a piece of paper with a pen, you got this big sheet of paper. Okay, cool. Even if you got
what about in something like Navisworks doing site logistics? I mean, it's a pain in the butt to set up, right? Doing the timeliners and.
Oh yeah, dude! If you can do the animations and everything, the simulations
in
the timeliner,
that changes so often. You have to go back and update everything, which is cool. You got somebody skilled make it happen, but how are you communicating that to everybody, and how often?
Well,
are they looking at it and getting access to it that way? I mean, it's great for crane placements and all that stuff. But
well, I was gonna say it would be more of you got to make the viewer pretty simple and up front, because I don't want somebody trying to figure out, okay, where's my pan, where's my orbit, all right, how do I play this thing, which part of the simulation am I in, do I drag the bar here? I would rather say just give the people the information that they need, like specifically, and if we can do that with a PDF, it's a let's say you take from the full construction set or the overall work package and break it down into discipline specific or individualized work packages, right? And we're watching over those specific packages. We could take the data from that and then centralize it somewhere, maybe in another Excel spreadsheet or what have you.
Hey man, everybody loves Excel.
Yeah.
Right, construction dorks? They're trying to kill Excel.
Yeah.
No, we just had a cool conversation about Excel versus Power BI.
Yeah.
But I'm a dinosaur when it comes to Excel, man. I'm probably not as good as an estimator is at Excel, but you're talking about your VLOOKUPs, your HLOOKUPs, pivot tables, and slicers, and running macros, creating macros. Dude, I got you, man. I'm the guy.
Well, what's crazy is, dude, I've seen some of these awesome Excel spreadsheets, right? And these people have all these micros and macros set up, and they're doing full estimation or full process checking, tracking, things like that from these Excel spreadsheets. And like, oh, well, we have people go in and update these. I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we could connect that to a PDF where when this is updated, it's going to update this Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, you can do that. That's an interesting kind of workflow that we think about it. If you're taking this, let's say, Excel data and you're updating it even daily, then it's a pretty awesome process that that information can update for everybody. Which, I mean, typically you can go ahead and enter in, scout through it, look through whatever you're doing, and then type in Excel, or like I said, connect it to a PDF and update these markups. Quantity link it in.
We can actually take that a step further. We can connect that Excel to Power BI. So every time you're publishing, we'll set up dashboards for everybody. Okay, procurement needs to know that they got to order, 5,300 square feet of this flooring. They got to order, 36,000 freaking boards of gypsum. Whatever, right?
They got valves, they got everything. I mean, you can symbolize everything from a markup. You can snapshot it if you got a symbol legend, save those into the tool chest. And actually, what's funny is those tools can retain as much information with them as you need them to. You start making those custom columns and saving those into your tool sets, and then optimizing the custom columns themselves. The column kind of, I want to say the organization, saving those into profiles and centralizing that information on your projects, or even pushing those tool sets and the columns, maybe not the columns, but the tool sets into Actually, you know what? Package it, put it as a file attachment, put it right on your cover sheet of your session, make it downloadable. Give everybody access to that information, and when they're tracking it, when they're counting it, what have you, all that data is configuring, it's gathering in a centralized location again, and then you can spit it out.
So we're talking about estimation at this point. And earlier you mentioned assemble. What have you done so far with assemble and breaking apart models to get your quantities and costs?
That stuff is pretty cool. It honestly takes apart your entire like BIM 3D model. So in this case, Revit. I used a Revit model and I pushed it up, and I could see.
Does it work with AutoCAD models, or is it all just Revit models?
So I haven't tested AutoCAD too much, honestly. It's mainly all Revit, so that's where my experience is stemming from. But with Revit, I could see if I had, let's say, I was saying asphalt, but if I have asphalt, it'll give me the exact square footage, cubic feet, cubic yardage, concrete, all of my switches, like these. As long as the family information is good, right? It'll break it down and it can track it.
So it's looking at materials and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, dude. Which is
we can do the same thing with AutoCAD. Though we can apply materials. Maybe I don't know.
I haven't played enough in AutoCAD. Like, I mean, I know AutoCAD architecture. Not as much. I guess storing information with your blocks and creating material libraries and things, that would be very interesting to create those and see if we could pull that information. That's probably possible.
I'm sure Autodesk has thought of it already, right?
Yeah. But another big part of that, dude, I'm on this whole spiel, but standardization again. If you're standardizing your element names, the family names, like what families we're using, if you can pull from the manufacturer, right, and have all that data in there, and then ask for, let's say, a standardized kind of, I don't want to say naming convention, standardized naming convention, things like that, across for those items involved in your project, whether it's site or logistics or materials and stuff.
Well, where that runs into hiccups though is, so say you're a GC who was handed an architect's model. The architects and engineers have already created this model for you. Now you're taking this model to solicit
You're already
bids.
too late.
You're already too late. You don't know what standards and all that stuff. Your design teams that are external to your company kind of set those standards. So pretty much, unless you're working with the same team, time after time, you're going to have to either A, remodel it yourself, or B, not remodel, but do a lot of cleanup, or B, figure out the, remapping everything inside of Assemble.
Can I put up an option C?
I guess.
Okay, so option C here is take that as one on the shoulder or take that as one on the chin, right, and look forward and say, I don't want to do that again. So what I do is I look at these other designs, these other projects that I'm going to get involved with, and instead of waiting until the architect and the engineering teams hand me over this project, I'm going to get involved in the design and engineering project at the beginning.
Depends on the contract type. And when the owner,
I mean, I get that, but
the architects assign before the GC more often than not, man. I mean, what are you going to do?
That's true. You need to educate the owners and ask the owners, hey, if you want us to do this,
the GC comes in later.
Involved.
So the GC needs to educate the owner, yes.
Everybody needs to educate the owners, I think.
I think the problem is too many people are trying to educate the owners in their own benefit, right? Oh yeah, you need this, and the owners, I guess we need this. And then,
okay, let's say not educate.
Screw somebody else.
Well, let's say not educate.
No, educate's the right word.
Guide them.
Educate's the word.
Well, I think it's guide, right? And educate.
Guide.
Yes.
Guide. The difference between guiding and educating is you're educating, but in a polite manner. You're
you're helping them figure it out.
Yeah, it's like instead of saying, look, you need to learn it this way and do it this way, and here's why. Instead, you're saying, hey, Mr. Owner, would you like to have this, this, and this? Yeah, well, here's what we need to do to make that happen. So it's the same thing. You're just being polite about it.
Well, and I think if we can start looking at, hey, if the owner realizes that the sooner I get the construction team involved in the process, like as soon as I get them involved with the architecture team, maybe Instead of shopping around for an architect and then after everything wraps up shopping for a GC, I shop for an architect and a GC at the same time.
Yeah,
well, I can ask, or I shop for a GC first and say, hey guys, who have you worked with before? What architecture firms have you excelled with? What are your project timelines? What does everything look like?
Yeah.
How have you guys integrated your data, your projects? How early do you get involved in the process? What do your change orders look like? Dude, if you can be an educated owner at that point and approach the GC and say, I want this, that's going to help your project go so much smoother.
Well, it depends on contract types, design,
right.
build,
Okay, you're right there. Yeah.
Right. So how is the owner doing? Again, it comes down to educating the owner. The owner has to have that education so that they can, and it's going to definitely take a GC and an architect probably teaming up to get this out of the way. But what you should be looking at is rather than the GC coming in and saying, oh, we could do it this way. Too often what's happening is, especially the old mentality is, the building gets designed, shelved for 3 years. The owner's trying to, figure out when's the best time. Then all of a sudden they get the money. They're like, okay, well, let's start, getting bids. They hit up, 3 GCs, for instance. Each GC then takes those designs and goes to 30 specialty contractors, 3 of each different discipline. And they get different bids. And then they take those bids and they put them all together to get their lowest bid. And then they each submit their bid in hopes that they're going to win this damn project. They came in way too late.
Yeah. Well, okay, so maybe here's another kind of aspect or thought process to this.
Maybe we just take a club, we hit the owner on the head, take his money, and then and then give it to the GC and the architect and say, guys, let's just figure this out, man.
Let's just figure this out. I say let's start getting involved maybe in the schematic, or no, I'm sorry, conceptual. Let's get them involved in the conceptual design phase. Like that's when I think,
early, man.
No, dude, you know what? No, I think that's perfect because once you have like the conceptual design and you're into schematic or design development, right? If they're involved in that process, the contractor themselves, let's say through BIM 360, right? They don't need to be involved much more than that or Bluebeam. Let's get them Bluebeam. And if they can see how the design, how everything is developing, and they can place markups and say, hey, maybe can we do this? Or let's actually say we have tools in Bluebeam that you can, group together and save into the tool chest, and they can say, we need this type of detail here. The draftsman at that point knows what to detail, knows how to detail, or has a connection to a person who understands what they need in order to speed up the process, right? And at that point, I mean, the project you would think goes a lot smoother because once there's that connection and the drafting people, the engineering in this term, have that connection to the construction manager or what have you, I just think that it would be a lot better because they're not having to redo that work, right?
Yeah.
Not redoing that time and again in the process down into down into the flow of the construction process itself, the life of it, you're going to come across some different change orders and things like that because there could be inaccuracies or just not things that aren't as detailed, or they're still waiting on people to detail things because they need it done a certain way.
So that's why we start talking about things like IPD and concurrent engineering and all this stuff, just to kind of curtail a lot of that stuff, get everybody involved sooner. Everybody's got an equal stake, all this stuff. But then at the end of the day, who's responsible for what? Oh, so-and-so messed up something in coordination. What does this mean for this? Like, there's a lot, man.
Gotta be set.
So much. Yeah. Well, not just expectations, but
tasks.
We are, something was fabricated wrong because you coordinated incorrectly. Whose responsibility is that?
Yep.
Who burdens the cost?
Is that on the mechanical? Is that on the structural? Is that on the architectural? Is that on the...
It's got to be in that contract, and people need to figure it out, man.
Yep. Well, that's why I think BIM 360, another hashtag BIM 360 there, I guess. I mean, it's not where it needs to be in terms of like coordination yet. I would say I'm very excited for the automatic clash detection, the issue creation, things like that, responsibility, tracking all of that. Very cool. But it still has a little bit of room to grow. Grow.
There you go, man. Way to focus on the positive. It's got
hashtag positivity.
Man. It's got potential. No, I like BIM 360 Coordinate. I'm a fan, if only for simple viewing for other people that are in the project, right? It gives them a snapshot. They don't have to worry about shit. And being able to assign issues. To me, that's huge. I put the onus on your ass.
Being able to create issues in the Navisworks desktop model, if you can use glue, right, and create that federated model, being able to create issues and assign tasks through BIM 360 that way, it's a pretty awesome workflow as well.
Yeah, I was a big fan of glue and field, the old workflows. That said, new glue is coming along quite well.
Yeah.
Or new glue, new coordinates come along quite well. There again, it does have some kinks to work out, but as they further integrate Navisworks, so the way the new platform works, for anybody that isn't familiar with BIM 360, the old platform had desktop applications that would and plugins that would sit right inside of your applications. There was literally a Navisworks application called BIM 360, Navisworks for BIM 360. What it did is it actually pulled your BIM 360 license. The first thing it asks you to do is log into your account, sign into BIM 360, choose a project you're working on, pulls the data locally, and it's pretty well embedded with BIM 360, and it's Navisworks, so it's very powerful, right? We live and die in Navisworks in the construction realm. That said, as you get out of that and into the new version, it's like, okay, so now I save it to this desktop location. Yep. It's kind of disconnected. I can't create things and push them up. I have to save it, and then if somebody makes it's so disconnected. Like I'm not doing it the same way. That said, this new issues tool is phenomenal. Like as it develops, we're going to get more functionality, and I'm looking forward to when they bring it to Revit too.
Oh yeah, yep.
Imagine getting notified of a design issue while you're inside of Revit. Like you sign in your account.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I want to see, honestly. The issues and the responsibilities, I want to see that tied to the design program itself.
Whew.
Yeah, Voodoo Ranger IPA.
Yeah, I had their 1984 the other day. This is wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is different. I don't get the juice so much.
No.
Definitely the I don't know, I get something bitter that's not the hops. Bitter in a good way though. It's not bad. It's just like, oh wow, like that's not what I was thinking. But it's good. This is probably the best one to end on. So I'm on my third beer. So this is perfect. I'll end on
half of the last feather rye. I let it sit on ice for a little while. Finished my beer. I actually like it. I prefer it on ice, and then when the ice melts, it's pretty awesome right at that point. It's either right there or when the cubes are getting a little bit smaller. Letting it sit in that king cube, especially if you get a king cube, I'll let it sit in there for a little bit, just kind of
What's the king cube?
So the king cube, you get a big ice cube or a big round ball.
Okay, we talked about this before.
Yeah. One of my buddies has the Star Destroyer, or the Star Destroyer. Well, I mean that's what it is. Yeah, it's the Death Star.
Yeah. So mine is just a black circle. It's you pull apart. I never knew they were called king cubes, but just a big round ice cube. But I fill it in, and it doesn't have the divot on top. But when I pull it open, you can't fill it all the way. It's too hard to fill all the way.
Yeah.
So there's always a divot on top, and it looks like the Death Star. Yeah, every time.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
It's packed away in a tote somewhere. I don't use it because I've got some whiskey stones. They don't cool it as much as ice, but they don't water it down either. Some whiskeys I want watered down, some I don't. So I just pick and choose.
Yeah.
That said, man, last week we were talking about this, or maybe it was offline, but I was talking about like smoking some water to make ice cubes.
Oh yeah, that was a good idea.
Yeah.
That was a good idea. Smoke some water and then make ice cubes with that, dude. That was I want to try that.
Yeah, I was thinking
one of my next old fashioned right there.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I've got this jar of candied lemons. They make the bomb ass freaking old fashions instead of using orange. But so next go around, I plan on probably next week I'll do an old fashioned. I'm gonna smoke some water. I should have done it freaking yesterday. I ran my smoker. I smoked a bunch of chicken and I actually smoked some tomatoes and jalapenos and onions and made some smoked salsa.
Yeah,
I
dude.
smoked some
On it.
potatoes. I smoked everything,
Just
man. I was
on it,
like,
dude. Yeah.
fill this thing. Well, I figure if I got to run my smoker, it's got to be full, man. It's
Yep.
got to be full.
I'm down for that. Yep. Fill it up. Fill it up.
Looking forward to it. So this weekend I'll probably run the smoker again, smoke a bunch more stuff while I'm out there brewing some beer. I'll put a tin of water in there, and then we'll refrigerate it and freeze it and make some ice cubes. So
Heck yeah, dude. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, thank you again for having me, Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Wait. Before we go, man, tell everybody why you're wearing this Jeep hat.
Oh, my Jeep hat, dude. Yeah, so special occasion. I've been looking for this like perfect Jeep for the past few months.
They don't exist.
They do not exist. They're like the unicorns, right? I'm like, I gotta get this Jeep Rubicon. I want the 4.1 Smart Track. I want the off-road, like 410 gear ratio, the Dana 44 in the front and in the rear.
Dave does rock crawling on the side. It's big passion.
Oh yeah, right.
How flat is Indiana?
Oh, so flat, dude. It's ridiculous. But so I was spending 6 months looking for this perfect Jeep. And I knew what I wanted to spend. And the other day, I'm on this website just kind of looking around, and I'm like, man, wonder about those new Jeep trucks, like the Gladiator. Like those are pretty cool.
So pretty, man.
They're so cool, so cool. So I looked it up, and turns out I had the cheapest one in the country that was ordered at this time, and I did my research. I got so many different.
It was hot pink, but it fits Dave's lifestyle. So.
Right? Yes. I got the Barbie truck out. No, actually, it's a Sting Gray. Ooh. It's Sting Gray, and
I don't know what gray that is, but it sounds cool.
It almost looks like a stingray kind of. It's like an. Actually, it reminded me of a great white shark, like the gray that they have on them. Oh. So I came up with 2 names for my Jeep truck so far.
Got a name.
And I got to name it, yes. So it's because I have kids, my first thought was Barry, the great white shark from Shark Tales, it was Jack Black. And it's funny because I thought, the Gladiator, it's funny, but my sister has a Wrangler. My best friend JD, he has a Wrangler. A lot of people I know, they're like, that is not a Jeep. That's not a Jeep. It doesn't fit in.
It's so much better than a Jeep. Sorry, guys.
I am so excited about this Jeep, and I am so excited to be like the ugly duck there. I don't even care.
You should name your Jeep Maximus.
Dude, that was my second name. That's so funny. Yes.
Maximus Aurelius.
Oh yes, dude. My favorite movie of all time.
I love epics, man. Russell Crowe. He might be a shitty person in real life, or I don't know. It's whatever the tabloids say, I guess.
Whatever.
But
that one of my favorite actors.
That movie is legit badass.
Yep. Dude, top 3. It's got to be Gladiator. I like Noah, but Les Mis, dude. Les Mis. Oh, I love that movie.
Okay.
Well, all right.
I liked it.
All right.
My, every girl is a big fan of Wolverine, blanking on his name.
Oh, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman, yeah. My wife loves dang it, what's the new movie? The new musical he did like last year or it was about 2 years ago.
Greatest Showman.
Greatest Showman. Loves that movie. But anyways, we went and saw Les Mis years ago on a date. She loves it. It's a great movie. Yeah, it was a good movie. I'm not going to knock it. It was a good movie.
I'm into musicals a little bit.
Oh, me too, man. We do probably before we left Oregon, we were doing 3 or 4 musicals a year. We'd go when we lived in Texas. We'd go to different theaters in Dallas and Fort Worth. My wife's she's a choir kid. She was doing musicals in school and all that stuff, so she's obsessed. Have you watched Hamilton yet on Disney Plus?
I have not watched Hamilton yet. No.
Dude, that movie. Daveed Diggs is so like some of them play multiple characters in the show.
Yeah.
Daveed Diggs does Lafayette, Marquis de Lafayette at the beginning, and then in the second part he plays Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
his Jefferson is it makes the movie between him and the guy that plays the king. The guy that plays the king does the voice in Frozen for Kristoff.
Oh, okay. Kristoff's my dude. Yep.
Yeah. Like between those two, that movie's that's awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. Like before, my wife was like, "Yeah, let's go see Hamilton," and I'm like, "Dude, tickets are like $600 to $800. We ain't going. Sorry, babe. I love you, but student loans, kids' college tuitions, all this, just put it aside. Just put it aside. $250. We can go.
Joey needs a new Jeep.
Hashtag Joey's still paying off his Beamer. Oh. Yeah, one day I'll get a new Jeep. I'd love that. Those Gladiators. My neighbor down the street's got one. And every time I drive, I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. Dude. His is like super decked out.
Oh yeah.
But now I'm like looking at it, I'm like, if I could find tickets for $600, maybe it'd be worth it if I saw it for $600. I'm like,
it just wears on you over time.
Oh my God, it's so good. I think we've watched it twice so far. So Disney Plus, you owe us some money.
Right, there you go.
Lin-Manuel, you need our podcast sponsorships. I'm just kidding. No, but anyways, man, they're great. I'm a big fan. Lin-Manuel, like I was watching the Drunk History episode.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, it was great. He's good. Yeah, man. Talented people all around. That said, BIM and stuff.
BIM and stuff.
There's a shirt for you, man. BIM and stuff.
BIM and stuff. There you go. All right, guys. We'll tune in next time to another episode of Brewing with BIM.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have iConstructor, or maybe in the next few episodes.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, stay thirsty, my friend.